Labda unafikiri uko poa sahi, eti vile hauko nami. Sikutaka kukuweka chini, ningekupa kila kitu. Labda unafikiri uko poa sahi, eti vile hauko nami. Sikutaka kukuweka chini, ningekupa kila kitu. I did not believe that it would end.
Okay, no, okay, here's the thing. My idea because why? Unajua, okay, Nairobi na grow, but ebu tuangalie, let's be sensible in this matter. How fast is the rural environment in a grow kama Nairobi? It's way like 5 times, 10 times lower. TV viewership na radio listenership. Radio listenership is still higher than TV viewership.
Okay, radio will never die, in my opinion, because if you did, or if you're in the journalism field, you were taught something about, I forget the names, but there's a guy who predicted that radio would die after the outburst of TV, and radio is still the biggest thing over TV. So I stand to be corrected.
Sikuwa nimeangalia vizuri, but ilikuwa imeleta around 870. Naona? So, I didn't know nilikuwa na discount. Yeah, actually yendo alinijulisha niko na discount after tumefika.
Sijalishanga.
By the way ilikuja around to 10, if I'm not wrong, to 10 to 20 hapo. From Tao, hapa CBD. From 870 mpaka 10 nilikuwa na 80%.
Unataka overcharge
sisi si ile tu unajua kuna time Bolt last year walikuwa napeana crazy discounts. Na watu mwaka wakakuja akaanza kuteta. So unaweza imagine from 870 all the way back to 10. Na mimi nilimlipa tu to 10.
And you know branch in Kenya means alcohol.
So yeah, we had to cheers.
My wine is over, but
yeah, so I think we're just gonna start with our journey, which started very interestingly. So Alexia and I both had podcasts before starting this particular podcast.
Yeah.
2 years ago, by the way. And the funny thing is I went on a trip with Alexia to Watamu, but I didn't really know her. We had mutual friends. And so when we went to this trip, you know, we've done the whole shebang. But then the last day we were on SGR, and we just have a quick conversation with Alexia, and then I knew. I just knew. I needed to leave my previous podcast because I think my co-host and I just we were not going to help each other reach each other's purposes, for lack of a better way to put it. We just were not on the same page. And just that brief conversation with her, I knew that, hey, maybe I've been thinking of a new podcast. I might try to reach out to her. So we got home and I decided itabidi nimemkatia because she doesn't. I have an agenda.
Yeah,
but
she
she
was on my
doesn't know
case.
My agenda. But I knew I want to have a podcast. I don't know. Do you guys ever be in a relation, or rather, you're courting someone, or you see someone, love at first sight, and you just know, damn,
you gotta make moves.
you have to make moves.
Do you guys have those experiences? Like, you just see someone, you're like, hey, that's fun.
I started calling up for things like, oh, you know, let's go for this thing, let's go for this event, oh, I'm going out, do you want to join me? And she'd say, yes, let's go. And eventually, after like the 3rd meetup, I told her, hey, I want to have a podcast. I'd like you to be my co-host, and would you be...
You texted me, I remember that
text.
Because it was just deep into COVID. Okay, let me give my point of the story. So
That's
I
right.
also had a podcast under Strathmore University. Anyone who is in Strathmore? Yay! So, you know Strathmore is Strathmore. So I remember the first episode we released, one of the guys in the student council called me and said, Alexia, Strathmore code of conduct, you guys are just a gossip podcast. As the word for Kilele, by the way. So I was like, it's
That's
being
such a
controlled.
guy language, man. I was big word for Kilele.
Yeah, so anyway, so I was like, okay, this is a bit, trying to fit the Strathmore culture and just to be free was a bit too much. So anyway, yeah, I started falling back on being saying I really want to start another podcast, but I can't do it alone because guys will get bored.
Yeah.
Listening to
Respectfully,
me,
no hate to the guys doing individual podcasts. You're doing amazing.
but it's good to know
This wasn't for
yourself.
us.
Yeah, it's good to know yourself. I just knew me talking alone for 1 hour, guys will be so bored. So like I'm gonna do like 4 girls. So I just had a really big plan in my head. Sorry, oops. And then COVID came, and I think in 2019 I tried out to be a radio presenter at Energy Radio. I think that's when also you realize about those things. Yeah, I didn't get it, but I got into like the top things.
Can we just appreciate that she got into the top team for the Energy Radio competition? When Energy was hot. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that time when guys were applying for those things.
You had to upload the whole video. It's even on YouTube. My best friend Kimano recorded that video in my house. We are done at makeup. Anyway, I digress. So, where am I? So by the time Alice was reaching out to me, I think it was the onset of COVID. You know, everyone was at home. You're trying to think, am I going to bake banana bread or am I going to do something else? So by the time she was texting me, I was like, hey, by the way, I've been wanting to start a podcast. And as she said, we met through mutual friends and gone to Watamu together. And I knew she's also in the media space, so it made sense. And that's how we started planning for the podcast.
Never have I ever some shit like that. So we were taking shots and we said we still have to record this podcast. So at 2 a.m. on my bed, we were very committed and recorded episode 1 of Banter of a Branch.
My name is Ben Seko. I'm an artist, I'm a podcaster, I'm a content creator. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to see other podcasters in the building, community, and many other guys. And yes, thanks for having me.
My name is Wanjiru. I'm 1/3 of the Joy podcast, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Slightly nervous, so go easy on us, but I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. So we're ready. Nice one. Yes.
Huge fan.
Thank you.
Huge fan. So I've followed your journey since even before the second podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I put it on her channel, then now the podcast. So what made you guys decide to now start a joint channel, and how has it been different for you guys?
Yeah. So we used to create content together. For those of us who don't know about our channel or about our content, is that we used to create content together with my wife now, but then she was just not that way. So I'd just hop onto her channel once in a while, do those challenges or accent challenges. But then with time, as we grew, we wanted to do more impact-based content, such that guys are not just watching for just entertainment. We want guys to live there with something that will help them grow, and that's what led to the birth of Jared Podcast. Jared Podcast it's a wellness podcast in as much as it inclines more towards relationship. It's about just allowing people to be better versions of themselves. So what our goal is that by the time you listen to our podcast, by the time you finish, you should be more encouraged or more hopeful rather than leave you more discouraged or like traumatized. So that's how we try and message our content together. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, and also I think we had, as he said, we've done content on each other's space for so long, but there was no platform for either mine or his that could fit the kind of content that we wanted to do, because we talk a lot naturally, we share a lot of conversations, even when the cameras are off, so we wanted like a natural platform that would allow us to share that, and the Jared was born. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think it is about your content in particular that like really resonates with the audience? Because I looked you guys up just before this event and I realized like you really, really, really do connect with your audience and they care about you guys and what you have to say. Like, why do you think that is?
I think we share from a place of vulnerability. I mean, the things that people go through in relationships, one person could watch and say, oh, I relate to that, or I find that I'm struggling with the same thing. And human beings, we're all the same. Our experiences are similar. And so if I hear your story and I find like, oh, I'm going through the same thing, we tend to have a connection even though we've never met. And I think that's what the Joy does.
Yes, and also a lot of our fans or our audience, we've grown up with them over a period of time. So they saw us when we were really struggling with pathetic quality. There was a time I started a podcast called the Psycho Podcast and guys loved it, but the sound was just bad. Like, I do every episode now, guys are just lecturing me on DM. Now, surely you have good content, but it's like, I was all gone, so I got killer episode. And now for them to see that we've got into a place where we've invested in production, we're trying to change our content, we're trying to do stuff. To them, it connects to them because they are part of the journey.
Most of the events we see out here usually included.
Events like
Events.
concerts.
Concerts, yeah.
Right.
Usually included, yeah.
In terms of DJing or organizing?
On the DJing beat, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then you have the radio gig going on.
Uh-huh.
You have the podcasting gig going on. And then there's Jimani the brand.
Mm-hmm.
How do you maneuver all that and work harmoniously to it? Like, I've never seen you skip a beat. Or maybe you have just on.
They're trying to cut you sleeping.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. I had the same conversation yesterday. I'll be honest. I'll be very honest with you guys. It's getting harder. You know, I've always been the kind of person who's I like to I don't believe in mediocrity. You know, I genuinely believe that if you hold yourself to high standards and you push yourself and you keep pushing yourself, the only way for me, I'm sitting here in front of you guys. I'm 50 years old, in front of you guys who are beginning your journey or halfway through your journey or in your journey. And what gives me the right to sit in this space and have this conversation? The only thing that gives me the right to sit here and have this conversation is relevance. And I don't take my relevance for granted, you know. And I don't strive to stay relevant. I strive to be the best version of myself. So if I'm a DJ and you see me on the stage, I want, like, these guys will tell you, I will say to you, if I'm going to play at Jameson or I'm going to play at a concert, I'm going to flatten that place. I want every DJ to say, this motherfucker, this with his old ass. You know what I'm trying to say? If I'm going to go on the radio, I want to try to give the best of myself. If we're doing a podcast, I want people to look at our podcast. I want people to see that our studios is always changing. I want guys to see how much time and attention we put into things. Because that's just who I am. How do I wear it so well? The guys who are close to me know that I don't always wear it well. There are days when I have doubts, a lot of doubts about myself, my place on this planet, my place in life. But I've learned that sometimes in life you just have to step back and just enjoy it, man, and just what happens tomorrow happens tomorrow. So I don't really get stressed like I used to get stressed. It's default by now, you know. But I respect the fact that you consider me to be that kind of person.
You're a
humbling
power.
as well.
It's literally in your website. You're a power. You're done.
Now that you mention it.
When did you last write?
When I last write? Oh, I write as well, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I write, but I don't have time to write. That's the only thing that if there's one thing, if it was an order of things to do, radio is my passion, but I love writing.
Yeah.
But it would be radio, writing, maybe DJing, podcasting, but somewhere the writing has. But I write once a year, twice a year. So if you haven't checked out my blogs on my website, conradgray.com,
Yep.
I got some interesting articles there.
But he writes quite a bit.
Checked.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
I actually follow your Twitter, so you know. I follow your Twitter, so you know.
But even on Twitter, I've changed. I don't argue as much as I used to.
Yeah, you don't. These days you just give us fatherly advice and then like, oh, thank you. Yeah. Calvin. Hi.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hey.
Uko salama? Okay, good. On the podcast, usually, okay, most of the viewers, I don't know whether it's for me, usually portray yourself as the father figure in the room. Yeah? you actually sing it a couple of times. How is it for you blending with this generation now? Because, like, you know, we do have conflicting backgrounds, you know, because from where you're coming from, there's things that made sense. Now, with the new generation, there are things that make sense that won't make sense to you. So, how do you put them together to actually form a cohesion and a nice unit over there?
I really don't have the answer for that. Because
if I had the answer for that, that would be quite perfect, to be honest. Right? So I'm just learning on a daily. So when you say father figure, well, my dad wasn't there. Yeah, so when I'm busy playing father to my daughter, I'm learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So life is just progressive like that. You know, I mean, if you are done learning, you might as well just die. That's just it, right?
Life just will. That's my life mantra. Life just will. Whether you like it or not, life just will. So just let it go and keep learning.
So it's just one of those things. It's not too complicated. You know, at times you just gotta be easy on yourself. You know? Yeah. So progress. Have our therapy session on the podcast. Crack jokes. Go back home, sleep, do radio. You know, do it again. Like that. It's not. It's you live and you learn, essentially.
And we have a female perspective on the show. And I'm not gonna lie, you've really educated so many men, FYI. So my question is this: how does it feel for you, being in the midst of all this masculine energy and teaching them actually, because you actually teach them? How does it feel for you?
I think it's good. Also, because I'm the baby here. I'm the babies. Well, not literally, but I think because also I've hang out with them individually. Like I knew them individually. We used to spend days. I mean, I used to produce for them on radio. Yeah. So we used to have conversations literally on a daily basis. So I understand where they're coming from. I understand what they're trying to say. It's good to know that I can actually say what I want to say, and nobody is actually going to be like, no, you're not right. It's a good space. It's a safe space. I'm able to say what I want to say when I want to say it sometimes. So it is a good feeling. Also bringing in that female perspective onto the pod, because a lot of babes actually come up to me and they're just like, yeah, tell those niggas. I'm like, yes. So it's good to have both perspectives, and it feels good that I'm that voice for the women. Sometimes they may not agree with me. Perspective, of course. Not you, the audience. Sometimes the female audience might not agree with me, but they might be able to change the perspective and see where I'm coming from as well. Being within the male environment, a lot of testosterone, even Valentine's here is a man. The production team, all men, you know. So bringing in that perspective of I know where they're coming from, and I also understand where a woman would come from. Just meeting them smack in the middle it's a good feeling.
Alright, my name is Ethan Muziki. Alright, so I released an album today. It's called Eternal Fire. Yeah. It seems that I'll give you an acoustic one for today. This song is called Sema. Hope you're gonna enjoy it and all the vibes.
Tukaogopa kunyeshewa, tumekazana kufika hapa tujapewa, na hata zile siku nimelemewa, unanipenda mami, unaweza lala kwa kitanda, nitalala chini, juu wewe raha ukipata napata mimi. I will love you in the dark and in the fluorescent lights. Na nitafanya ninachoweza darling, ikisema roho imesema, imesema mama, tutaenda hadi siku itasimama. Nitasimama mama, ikisema roho imesema umeniweka nini, sijaweza kueleza what you have on me, but I like it cause I'm waking with you in the morning, don't want it any other way, nizeke pamoja na wewe, ni mimi na wewe to the end. Raha nayo nimepata na siamini, jua asubuhi ukiniacha nitafanya nini? Niko tayari kufika hata tukichelewa, na nitafanya ninachoweza darling, ikisema roho imesema mama, tutaenda hadi siku itasimama mama, ikisema roho imesema
So, I want us to sing this song together. So we're gonna do Kesho Kutwa one time for all the lovers in the house.
kujua na kukua, lengo lake kushatua, hivyo hata ukinizungusha, sioni shida, utanifundisha. Kwa karibu wanatambua, saa zingine maneno hunisumbua, huwa yanihata, lakini wewe onani hapa, ndege ushanifanya, ukipandisha bei unajua nitafika na nitapita, lakini wewe onani hapa, ndege ushanifanya, ukipandisha bei unajua nitafika, hata kesho kutwa tutapendana, na usiku kucha tutapendana, hata kesho kutwa tutapendana, na usiku kucha tutapendana. Tutapendana.